Hi everybody, welcome to this video. Today I'm going to show you how I painted my first skateboard deck and all the steps that I took to do so. So please watch along if you want to see how I created this custom skateboard. So first things first, I bought myself a plain skateboard deck. I just grabbed this off eBay and I gave it a good sand to get rid of any imperfections that it had. I then primed the board. I used this Reeves gesso for this. And before I did that, I flipped the board over, taped up the holes so the gesso won't drip through to the other side and make a mess. So I just used some masking tape for this. And then I got some little glass bowls that I had to prop the board on so it wouldn't be on the table. I then mixed the gesso with a bit of water. I've not used this before, so I wasn't really sure on the consistency, but as you can see, that's the thickness that I had. I then started applying my gesso to the surface of the board and all of the sides. If you have any slight imperfections, then you can fill them in. I just got this decorator's cork and filled that in and it worked pretty well, to be fair. So once the first layer was dry, I had to reapply another layer. I think I did about 3 layers all in total. So for the design, I'm going to be using my iPad Pro and I'm going to play around with a few ideas on Procreate. So to start my design, I just downloaded this plain skateboard template so I would know where the holes were going to be on my design to make sure there wasn't a key feature right where the holes would be. I nailed it down to these two. So the one on the right was just a generic image I grabbed online, but the design on the left, I just grabbed a few different images and put them together to make this design. For the stencil, I just lowered this opacity on my design and then on a new layer drew a simple line around for what I wanted for the stencil. So when I was going to print it off, it was going to be more than A4 size. I separated it into 3 sections, which actually just roughly worked out to be an A4 size each. And then I just added this purple line as a bit of a guide. As you can see, I printed it all off here and it's lined up perfectly with the skateboard. Then I got some carbon paper that I use when I do my tattoo designs. Placed that face down on the board and then placed my design the opposite way around. So I hope that makes sense. And then once it was all secured in place with a bit of tape, I just grabbed a biro and drew over all of my lines to transfer the design from the carbon paper onto the board and just peeled it off. And then as you can see, that transferred my design really well onto the board. Definitely wouldn't use carbon paper again, as you'll see later in the video. I did have a few issues with painting over with the lighter tones. It was really difficult to get rid of the carbon paper. When I began to paint my skateboard, I just used regular acrylic paint for this. And it worked pretty well on top of my gesso layer. I forgot to mention actually, make sure you sand your final gesso layer before you apply your stencil. So yeah, it was working really well. A bit tricky using some of the lighter paint to get rid of those carbon lines, so I definitely would try and find a different type of transfer paper or just use the method of when you put charcoal on the back of your piece of paper and transfer it that way. I'm just building up the image here. I didn't really have a plan of where to start with. This took flipping ages. It took me so much longer than I thought. Is the skateboard all finished up? I did actually go around when it was dry with my black Posca pen and just highlight a few details just to give it a bit more definition. Then it was time to varnish. I just bought this Daler Rowney acrylic varnish that I got from Hobbycraft. I wanted it glossy, not matte. So here is a nice satisfying varnish pour. I definitely wish I'd used a brand new paintbrush for this, as I think there was a few little bits of old paint stuck in this one. You can see this really just makes those colours so much more vibrant once you apply the varnish. This was so satisfying to do, I can't tell you, of how that black just really popped out once I put the varnish on. Just make sure you don't get any little air bubbles. I just went over really lightly with the paintbrush if I had a few of those. This is the skateboard all finished with the varnish dry. This is the finished result. I am really happy with how this has turned out, especially from my first go at painting a skateboard. There are definitely a few things I would do differently, mainly how I got the stencil on and maybe like preparing it slightly differently, the surface to paint on. But yeah, overall really happy with how it's turned out, and I have actually already bought another skateboard deck so I can try and do another one because it was really fun. So yeah, if you want to see that, then please subscribe, and I've got some more video ideas that I want to do soon. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.